TMNT Universe is meant for adult collectors and Ninja Turtles fans.
This is a Channel 6 News special report.
2025 Toy Fair has ended, and I wanted to make sure that all the reveals had wrapped up before I put this video out. There's lots of exciting news and reveals to get to, so let's jump right into it. I guess we should start with Super 7. Although not officially a Toy Fair reveal, they did drop the next wave of TMNT Ultimates the night before the show. And as we knew from Comic-Con, Wave 13 was going to be 2003 focused, and we even knew what the characters were going to be. But that didn't make me any less excited to see them for the first time. And considering how lightly accessorized the Turtles were, I'm glad to see these figures come with a few more items. The proportions of this figure really capture this version of Shredder's intimidating look overall. We knew he'd probably come with the Sword of Tengu from the teaser image, and I hope the addition of the regular Oroku Saki head doesn't mean that the regular Saki is off the table, because a figure of that look is long overdue. But the thing I'm most excited about is that Chirel minifigure. I remember how much of a shock that reveal was back in the day, and this also gives me an idea of how they're going to handle Utrams if or when they get to them. Even though Shredder's awesome, I'm not sure if he's my favorite or if it's the Splinter. I've always loved this version of Splinter. Honestly, I love most versions of Splinter, but this figure is perfectly on point. I'm happy that he seems to be at the proper scale. That's a big thing I look for in characters. Big characters should be big, small characters should be small. And he is perfect. He obviously has lots of hands to teach different ninja techniques, and his trusty walking stick. But that meditating portrait sells me on this figure. I like my display to have figures in their purest form, and a meditating Splinter is exactly what I want. I just hope with that new articulation, I can get him in a sitting position. And I'm a sucker for unmutated Splinter and the Turtles, just like in the flashbacks from the show. Jumping over to Casey, I have to say that that's a solid interpretation of the character. It doesn't take a lot for a good Casey. A good sculpt, the mask, and some sports equipment, and this figure hits all those marks. But here's my first critique. I think the unmasked portrait should have a little more of that confident smirk that Casey has in the cartoon, since the masked head already has that ready for a fight vibe. And I really hope that that plastic used for the skin looks as good as this render. Only time will tell. And we have our first army builder from the 2003 series with the Foot Ninja. I do think the extra articulation will come in handy when posing these guys. For accessories, we get a couple of katanas, a bow staff, and some shuriken. I like the two portraits, one with tassels down and the other one with them blowing in the wind. And I do like the addition of the Foot Technician head, even though that body isn't right for the character generally. But it still makes sense, as the 2003 Mutations Foot Ninja had this alternate head. And if you decided to order this wave straight from Super 7, you also get a Super Pack, with a Yelling Chirel figure, a windswept Casey Jones portrait that kind of reminds me of the cartoon intro, and the gauntlet used to hold the powerful Sword of Tengu, and an additional version of that sword that glows in the dark. This is the kind of thing they should be doing with the Super Packs, and I'll definitely have to get this one for myself. And just like with Wave 12, we got some actual prototypes at Toy Fair. Seeing them in real life instills me with a lot more confidence than just looking at 3D renders. If the final figures look this good, I will be very happy. And for anyone interested, they are re-releasing the Super Shogun Krang, but this one will come in all clear plastic. Other than that, Super 7 didn't have any more TMNT offerings at Toy Fair, and I didn't really expect them to. But they did reveal that they are expanding the O-Ring Reaction Plus figures beyond G.I. Joe, with some Back to the Future and Universal Monster figures. This makes me wonder if the Turtles could get the same treatment. Maybe we'll find out at San Diego. For the first time, there weren't a lot of characters revealed in the NECA Toon category. We did get the Ultimate Package for Dark Leo, whose box is labeled 2 Scoops of Evil and looks an awful lot like the Ninja Turtle cereal. Shredder's package was labeled Start Shredding the News, with another appearance of Mr. Og. That's at least 2 boxes with Og on them, and he's even mentioned on the back. Between that and him appearing in the comics again, he has to be on his way soon. And we also have the previously seen Panda Con package, Crouching Panda Hidden Turtles. All these figures have already been revealed, but we did get confirmation that they are coming to Holothon in the next month or so. And speaking of packaging, Tattoo and Worm, as well as Shibano-sama and Creepy Yeti are all packaged up and ready to hit retail. Maybe they'll be part of Holothon too. Something new was Robotic Toka and Razar, based on designs by S&Z Toys on Instagram, who makes awesome figures. These were a concept made in the same vein as Robotic Bebop and Rocksteady. I love that this is something fan-made and that NECA saw the value in it. But as cool as they are, I am disappointed that we still haven't seen some characters that were in the cartoon before moving on to new figures that are just based on the cartoon. I hope we're not approaching the end of the line for the original Toon figures, since there are still some unproduced heroes and villains. And lastly, something I'm puzzled about is this lone Raph in the display. He looks to have the style guide colors, So maybe they are re-releasing those figures in single packages like the Pizza Club Turtles. But so far there's no info on that yet. And even though I said Toy Fair was light on original Toon figures, that might be because NECA is diversifying into a lot of new areas like the Nickelodeon Turtles. New for Toy Fair is Donatello. He maintains his scale being taller than the other turtles, and like the others he looks to have a pet with Dr. Cluckingsworth MD, the super intelligent chicken from one of my favorite episodes. And finishing out the core turtles is Raphael. I was expecting Raphael to come with Spike, but NECA had to subvert expectations and go with Chompy Picasso. I love that little guy and will be happy to add him to the collection. Mikey was shown again with Ice Cream Kitty, but Leo still only has the Microfission Omni Disintegrator. Not really a little buddy, so he might be the only one without a pet. And here we have a really amazing sculpt of the Shredder. He looks very tall, and I think those blades might even extend. He has his own sort of little buddy or pet with a Krang perched on his shoulder. The Foot Ninja looks great with his spindly arms, and it sounds like there's going to be 2 torsos, so you can make either a regular Foot Ninja or add some additional arms to make that creepy Footbot. And there are several teases in the display that hint at the future, like Spike and that Mace Fray Slash figure, as well as Metalhead from this controller, and of course Splinter with the cheese phone. These are all looking great, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for this particular line. Something that wasn't on my radar this year was a full set of turtles in Stan Sakai's art style, but that's what we got. Each of these turtles will be getting a single package release like the Ultimates or Mirage style, so you can pick and choose if you just want to get your favorite. In addition to the turtles, we are getting a comic-accurate Samurai Usagi as well. All of these seem to be based on the recent crossover comic, but I hope they don't stop there. I've said for a while now that I'm ready for Usagi to have his own line with lots of original comic characters, and this shows me that NECA might be thinking the same thing. I thought the Unmentionables would be coming after that leaked artwork was making the rounds, and it looks like it will be available soon at this year's Holothon. I guess each Holothon will get a 4-pack, and this one is a definite buy for me. They all look great and come with some really fun accessories. I'm serious when I say that this was one of my favorite issues and that these figures are a highlight for me. I even made sure to hit up some locations from the book while visiting Northampton a couple of years ago. I might have to go back and take some of these with me. Both April and Shote were shown in package, so they can't be far from release. And something new was our first Honeycut variant with a glow-in-the-dark green and glitter Transmat Fugitoid that depicts him in mid-teleportation. I'm always happy to add another glow-in-the-dark figure to my collection, and they have already made this one available. And while we are on the subject of variants, Fake Eyes over on Blue Sky got some pictures of a couple of new black and white figures with Casey Jones and the Foot Elite, as well as Mirage color variants of the Elite Assassin and Battle Damage Shredder and the newest Mirage Turtle variants, all packaged and ready for retail. And another light showing was the Archie figures having mostly already revealed items except for April as the 5th turtle from the Archie 1994 Winter Special. This figure was teased almost 2 years ago, so it's good to finally see her in finished form, and it gives us an idea of what the standard Archie turtles might look like, even though this version has a more pointed beak and claws just like April had in that issue. Other than her, the only semi-new thing was Ace Duck in package, so add him to the list of soon-to-arrive figures. The last Ronin display had some updated versions of things we'd seen before, but there were a couple of new items too. First off is Night Watcher April. We saw her on the Christmas checklist, but this is our first proper look at the figure. This is a great sculpt, but the expression on her face is really bringing me down. There's a lot of emotion in that portrait. She was shown along with the Night Watcher Turtles and Casey, but what I'm really excited for is this fully finished set of teens. They look great, and I really like their stealth gear, especially Odin's. And we are getting the young Odin and Uno with another Casey Marie figure, and this is a good looking figure too. I really like this costume from the comic. And with Grammy April, who's already available, we can have all the kids together. Something completely new is Ronin in his snow gear from the Lost Years. I'm pretty sure this means we're going to get some other looks from his trip across the world. Still no last Ronin Shredder though. I wonder why that figure still hasn't made its debut. The 90 movie turtles are getting a re-release for the 35th anniversary of the film, so if you had a hard time finding these guys, you can now add them to your collection without paying aftermarket prices. The ones on display have the heads from the movie accessory set, and it sounds like the items from that set will be separated and packaged with each of these anniversary releases. There's also a variant of the Garbage Man Kevin Eastman in different colors from the New York Comic Con release, so if you missed that one, it sounds like Kevin will be making it available on his website. And in a mind-blowing moment, Pixel Dan got the first look at a movie-style Bebop and Rocksteady. I mentioned these might be a possibility back when they revealed the yellow jumpsuit April, that we still don't know what's happening with, but that was more of a hope, and I'm happy to see it's now a reality. I like the Rocksteady. He kind of reminds me of Mr. Richfield, which would make sense since that is a Jim Henson puppet too, but something is off about Bebop. It doesn't sit well with me. Maybe it's the skin tone or the proportions, but he's definitely slightly off from Rocksteady. I feel like these are more on the whimsical side, so I'd say that they would probably match the look and feel of Secret of the Ooze rather than the first film. And in that case, it now gives me a little bit of hope that we might get an Outram Professor Perry or a movie-style Krang in general. After Bebop and Rocksteady, they can pretty much do whatever they want, and I'll be there for it. And we finally got some new monster turtles.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
We got our first look at Shredder as Dracula, and he definitely wasn't a disappointment. The whole aesthetic of his character rocks. He will come with 3 heads, unmasked, a more Shredder-style helmet, and a bat-like helmet. The unmasked helmet kind of reminds me of Danny Houston from 30 Days a Night, and the armor has elements of Gary Oldman's Dracula. I like that it pulls from sort of a greatest hits of vampires, and it sounds like he'll come in 3 color variants. So I'm guessing full paint, black and white, and maybe a blood red edition. And this bladed bloodsucker is already up for pre-order at the usual places. Moving away from the classic monsters and into more of the drive-in B movies, we have Krang, that's a mashup of 2 of my favorites, the Metaluna Mutant and Robot Monster. This design is a monster kid's dream, and the 3D glasses really add to the B-movie vibe. Previously, Raphael was the Metaluna Mutant in the vintage line, but honestly, this Krang makes a lot more sense. And he'll come in a few color variants as well, which works since this figure sorta reminds me of vintage Sofubi, and they had some crazy color choices. And representing Ray Harryhausen's contribution to classic monster movies, we have Donatello and Michelangelo as a 2-headed monster. This is a great sculpt, and you can obviously tell that this is a James Groman piece. The additional Cyclops Mikey head really calls back memories of the 7th Voyage of Sinbad. There are more monsters coming, so maybe after seeing that Bebop and Rocksteady, they can get the monster treatment as well. Maybe they can represent some classic kaiju in this line. Even though a lot of figures from the recent leaks like the new remastered Turtles were absent, we did get a lot of really cool stuff from Playmates. Like some fun roleplay toys with spin attack action, some walking figures and farting turtles, not really my thing, but I'm sure kids are gonna love them. There's some new Gachapon style shell capsules with figures and ooze. And I was excited to see them bring back the mini playsets. I feel like the vintage ones had a little more in sculpted detail, but these are still pretty cool. They even took that up a notch and made a pet turtle playset in the same scale as the regular figures. The box had all the characters blacked out, hiding their identities, but we'll get to some of that in a second. I'm going to go ahead and get into the regular figures and vehicles. So it seems like we are done with Mutant Mayhem, and all the branding moving forward is going to be Tales of the TMNT. To go along with Rocksteady and Raph with bikes, we now have exclusive Leo and Donnie figures with a pair of go-karts. I'm not a big fan of play features, so a lot of these new figures are a pass for me, but we did get some peeks at new figures of old characters that I'm happy to see come back. A gelatinous goo Muckman and Joe Eyeball, what appears to be Old Hob, which is a very welcome surprise, and a reimagined Toka and Razar. And I'm not completely sure, but there is a purple character that might be a Tales of the TMNT scale tail, mostly because it kind of looks like a snake body, and that whip reminds me of the vintage toy accessory. And that wouldn't be crazy since he had a tiny cameo in the movie. Based off these figures, I can't wait for another season of the cartoon. That wasn't the only scale tail either. The Snake Bounty Hunter is getting a re-release of the original figure alongside Worm, Chrome Dome, and Anthrax. They will be making the 2012 Shellraiser available again, but the 2 items that I'm most excited about are the Mutant Module and the Foot Cruiser. I'll need to get a couple of those to make a pair of Star Cruisers for my NECA Neutrinos. And of course, the sewer lair that they announced at San Diego Comic-Con is coming soon, and it looks to be the exact same as the original, so no scaling issues like the Technodrome. As for Mattel, the only Turtles of Grayskull figures on display were the King Hiss Foot Soldier and the Snake Super Shredder. Both we've already seen before, so does that mean that they are done with this particular crossover? I don't think so, since Toy Habits has a picture of a Skeletor Shredder prototype. Perhaps we'll see that figure and many more at Mattel Creations Revealed on March 6th. Another pre-Toy Fair reveal was McFarlane Toys' first foray into Ninja Turtle figures. Through IGN, we got to see the Page Punchers Leonardo. I don't know much about Page Punchers, so I'm not really sure what to expect from these figures. But I have to say, from this first reveal, I'm not really feeling it, but that might change as we get more information. And Preternia, who you should be following on pretty much all the socials, said they weren't able to get pictures, but the other turtles were on display. They even had a Shredder and a Rocksteady and Bebop. All in all, it was a pretty good show, and this is just the Ninja Turtle stuff. There's so many other things that caught my eye this year. I think we're going to have to wait for Comic-Con to see anything new from Mondo and a few of the other companies making turtle figures. But strangely at Toy Fair, the loyal subjects didn't have anything from the Best Action line. They're doing a lot of really cool new stuff this year, so maybe they're done with turtles. Who knows, but like I said, next up is San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm sure we're going to get some more amazing things then. But that's all the news for now, so this is Ultramex, Channel 6 Happy Hour News, signing off.
This has been a Channel 6 News special report.
Hey guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to kick that like button, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I upload every Turtle Tuesday, so you can always come back to see what's new. You can also check me out on various social media, links in the description. And as always, for all things turtles, check TMNT Universe.